So in my last pathfinding video, I left people with a little bit of a cliffhanger. I made a zombie, however, it only follows people and it doesn't actually attack them. And before I created this variable attack range, I never actually used it throughout any of the code. So in this video I'll actually be using it, and we will be making it so the zombies will attack people. So first thing I'm going to do is create a couple new variables. Attack damage, just the amount of damage it deals to the target, and the attack interval, which I suggest you set to some sort of decimal, but not a really small one. This 0.5 should do you well. And current target, and I will go into that in a second, but now we just have to get current target equals player. And the reason why we're doing that is because I will be using region 3s to find out where things are. A region is basically something where you have two vector 3 points which create a square, and the region can be used to find parts that are within that square. And that brings us to our next function, find parts in region 3, which is the function that we use to actually find the parts within the region 3. Region 3s are really expensive to a game's performance, which is why we won't be using it in this code block here, because it's running almost every frame, so it's going to make our game super laggy. Instead, we'll be using that attack interval we made earlier on, which will just make it a little bit slower and more manageable for more lower end devices. So if current target is equal to nil, then we'll continue on to the next loop, and we do that because otherwise we can't really do anything because the target doesn't really exist. So then we get the target's character, since we know they exist, character or current target dot character added weight. So the attack range is a vector, because imagine these but applied to the size of a part. That's basically what we're going to be doing. But before we actually create the region, and since we don't want to waste any time, we should actually see if the region would even be close to the target. So I'll create a range thing here, which will just add up all the axes and divide them by 3, which should give us 3, but it's just, I like doing it this way. And if target underscore character dot humanoid root part dot position minus root part dot position dot magnitude is greater than range, then we also should continue. That was very similar to what we did in this function, get nearest player, and basically doing the same thing here. So next thing we need is the origin for the region 3. Now we don't want the region 3 to be inside of the AI's humanoid root part, or else it wouldn't be detecting the player. So we're just going to set it a little bit in front of it. So we'll get root part dot cframe times cframe dot new. To make it a little bit in front, I'll just set that offset dot position, which turns it into a vector 3. and then the actual region itself. Now, like I said, it takes 2 vector 3 points to create a square. So it takes a minimum and a maximum. So it gets the corners, and then from that data, it'll be able to turn it into a square. So we'll call region3.new to create it, and we'll do origin minus attack range, origin plus attack range. And then we could do local parts equals workspace, find parts in region 3 with a nor list, which will basically allow us to blacklist some parts, like the parts within the AI, just in case they get into the mix of things. So we're just going to insert our region and a list of all parts within our AI. And then we can loop through them. So now we just want to make sure we're getting the right character. So we could do part find first ancestor target character dot name. And this will basically just find, so if it's inside of a hat, like it's a handle in a hat, it'll get the character. Because find first ancestor will find the nearest parent. So if I did this mesh, find first ancestor drooling zombie, is this the drooling zombie, or is this the drooling zombie? And then if it is the drooling zombie, then it'll return this instance right here. And then we could do if character is equal to nil, then we continue to next instance. Then we just get the humanoid would be character dot humanoid. If humanoid, find, I'll do that part later, but for now, we'll create a debounce inside of the humanoid, which will tell us whether or not this player's already been hit or not. Create a bool value, which will have the name of debounce and a value of true. And we can parent it to the humanoid. Now we can go back here, do if humanoid, find first child, debounce, then, so that's where this part comes in. If this exists, then we know that we can't hit it again, because chances, it's likely that we will get multiple parts that are within the same character, and then it'll try damaging it more times than it has to. So then we'll just continue to next instance again. And now I'm going to go right to the top of my script where I defined my services, and I want to add the debris service. The debris service is a basically a clean way of getting rid of unneeded parts. So this add item thing right here, it is going to get rid of this debounce value in the humanoid, so it can be damaged again, but only at a certain time. So it's basically a shorter way of going like this maybe, and so as you can see, it's a lot shorter, which is why we do it like this. So that's that. Now we can go and test it. So I just want to see whether or not this value is being added, and not so much whether or not I'm being damaged, because we haven't added that part yet. So, yep, it's being added, debounce right there. So we know that's working. And now, just add the cherry on top of the sundae and actually damage it. So we can just go like this. Humanoid, take damage, attack, damage. And that should be the end of the script. And we'll see how it works. So once again, enter a playtest. And since we're using the take damage function, it will not damage me if I have a force field, like it should. And now that my force field is off, you can see that I'm being damaged by my zombie. So if you learned something, or you found the video entertaining, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.